I'm Dave Kassler, an amateur radio operator, call sign KE0OG. I create ham radio tutorial videos. My YouTube channel has over 330 videos and over 18,000 subscribers. I use CyberLink PowerDirector as my video editing tool. I started 6 years ago with the video editor from another vendor, but had severe stability issues, so I went looking around. HP had already installed a simple version of CyberLink PowerDirector on my desktop, so I took a closer look. The magazine reviews seemed to agree that it was the best consumer-level video editor out there. So I paid for version 9, which quickly became version 10, and we're now up to version 15 after annual refreshes with new features. I've grown with PDR and have developed a workflow that allows me to produce anything I want. I was asked by CyberLink several years ago to become a most valued professional. As a perk, I got a t-shirt and free annual updates to the software. I've tried over the last several years to improve my production values to make my videos more informative and easier to watch. One invaluable tool has been Video Maker magazine, which I recommend. Now, I point out that there is art as well as craft to editing, so don't think that having the tool will guarantee you'll create great videos. After all, Michelangelo used hammer and chisel to produce his famous statuary, but give me those identical tools, and all I'll produce is rubble. There are many online tutorials to learn all of CyberLink PowerDirector's features, so I won't go into them here, but I thought I'd touch on some of the features I use a lot. I use a laptop with a second screen. The second screen is an HP 1920 by 1080 HD display that I drive from the HDMI output of the PC. This allows me to manage files and captures on the bottom display and do my editing on the top. My entire workflow is in 1080p at 30 frames per second, although PDR-15 will do 4K productions as well as 3D if you want. Okay, let's look at the basic capabilities of PDR. Over here is capture, which I don't use very much. Note that you can use your webcam to create video footage. Also, there's a nifty feature for capturing what's happening on your screen. I rarely use this particular feature as I have a studio set up for video and audio that I'm used to and works well. Here is the edit window. There are 3 editing modes depending on how adventurous you are. The first mode helps you to put slideshows together and add music. The second mode is the storyboard mode, which allows you to paste lots of video clips together to support a project. Now, the editor I use, which is what you will want to graduate to, is the timeline view. This shows multiple tracks, and there's even a track devoted to titles and another devoted to voiceover, though you are not constrained to use these for either. The FX track means effects. Now, let's look at what's available to you here. The first is the media library, which consists of the audio, video, and slides you are incorporating into your project. The second is the effects room, and there are dozens of effects you can apply. I bring your attention to the new blue effects. I use these regularly. These have very little documentation, so it's a lot of experimentation, but I use new blue effects for both green screen or chroma key work and for adjusting exposure and contrast of my video clips. Note there is also a sophisticated ProDAD tool. These third-party tools are completely integrated into PDR. However, depending on the level of PDR you purchase, you may not get all of them. I use the very highest level of PDR and love it. There are a couple of special effects rooms that I rarely use. I make extensive use of titles, however. One nice thing about titles is that once you have a format set up that you really like, you can save it as a template for further titles. New Blue has Titler Pro available, although it is not available in the less expensive versions of PDR. The next room is transitions for use between clips if you aren't content with a simple cut, which most of the time you should be. While there are dozens of transitions to choose from, only one is worthwhile, and that's fade, which in other programs might be called dissolve. I also use shove from time to time. For audio tracks only, I use the constant power fader. One thing to note is that the system makes an automated decision whether you want fade across, fade in, or fade out. Sometimes in a complex edit, these can get reset, so check them on your final review. There's a screen you can use to adjust audio on a track-by-track basis. You'll need to do lots of experimentation. The last one of interest is the ability to create a voiceover track during editing. Note that the newly created audio clip is fully editable, so you can remove things you don't want and add in the things you do. Now let's look down at the tracks. Each track consists of both an audio and a video portion, but it is possible to create a video-only or audio-only track if you wish, which I do lots. I use track 1 for the background, a video-only track 2 for titles, a video plus audio track for my video clips, an audio-only track underneath for the separately captured audio, and then just regular video plus audio below that. You can put, I think, 99 tracks in place, but even with my most complex videos, I've never gone past 8 or 9 tracks. Note that track 1 is the foundation layer, and anything below that, meaning a higher number track, is laid on top during rendering. Note that you can put still photos on a video track and then modify them to gradually zoom in or pan or whatever you want. Now, I'd like to talk about some of the special apps I use. The first is the Multicam Editor. It's best to do your multicam work before you start editing the rest of the feature. In fact, you may find that you want to render out the multicam segments to have as a separate video clip. Conversely, the advantage of keeping everything together is that you can continue to edit the multicam sequence once it's on the timeline. Here's an example from an unboxing video I did recently. Select both items and right-click to enter Multicam Designer. What you see here is pretty cool. First, we need to line up the two recordings time-wise. We can do this by applying the synchronization feature. Then you can simply pick between cameras in real time. You can move the boundaries between cameras to tweak your edit, which is easier to do here than in the full edit suite. I note here, however, that the 2, 3, or 4 videos you use for the multicam need to be fully rendered with complete editing, such as chroma key and titles already incorporated, because you can't really do it later. The key feature I use with almost all my videos is chroma key, or in this case, green screen. The quality of the key is quite dependent on the quality of the video clip. I recently upgraded my camera to a Panasonic DMC G7, and I can create quite nice keys from that. PDR has its own built-in chroma key feature, but out of habit, I use one of the new blue effects. PDR provides several nice backgrounds, or you can choose your own. You can even use a video for the background, which will place you right in front of the action. Note that my title layer is above the video of me, so it'll look like the titles are behind me. Again, experimentation is in order. Titles are quite flexible. Once you have the title the way you like it, you can save it as a template for future titles. I prefer a uniform look to my titles and don't want them to be too gaudy. Note that it is possible to make a video somewhat transparent so that you can overlay things. I should mention the video stabilizer. If your handheld video is a little jerky, the system can fix it for you. It's actually pretty good. You can also adjust the white balance. I like to do this in camera, but couldn't with my older camera, so I would start a scene with a gray card to give the white balance something to grab onto. The white balance is really designed to work against something in the video that is white, but not overexposed. PDR-15 has additional features such as motion tracking, action camera settings, 3D video, and 360-degree video. I don't use these, so I can't comment. I do point out that PDR allows extensive use of keyframes, very handy for creating annotated pictures. You can spin video, straighten it, and so on. I've never even explored the far reaches of this capability. Now, I must mention the two companion programs to PDR, CyberLink's PowerDirector and ColorDirector. I've experimented with these a bit and find Audacity easier to use than PowerDirector, probably because that's what I started with several years ago. ColorDirector has incredible capabilities, down to and including a lookup table, or LUT, which is definitely a pro capability, and has extensive color grading capabilities. I used it for a while for quite a few videos, but then found a more recent New Blue plugin that gives me what I need. I have noticed that if I make changes in ColorDirector, it makes it hard for my poor Core i7 laptop to keep up with real-time editing. I used this for quite a while, then discovered the New Blue feature. Now, there are a couple more features. This is the area where you tell PDR how to render your video, or produce in PDR terms. So many choices. You can render directly into YouTube, Facebook, or Vimeo. It will log into your account and upload the video for you. I prefer to use a standard 2D format, rendering using the H.264 codec via the MP4 container. You can render it many ways. I've put together a custom profile that greatly reduces the bit rate while preserving quality. I render it to my hard drive and then upload to YouTube from there. Personal preference, I suppose. The last capability allows you to create a fully formatted DVD, including a custom menu structure. I rarely create actual DVDs, so I'm not very familiar with this capability, but I have used it and it does work just fine. While not billed or priced as a pro editing suite, it is a fabulous editor. PDR makes it pretty intuitive to start simple by keeping the exotic features just out of sight, but always there when you want them. Once you're ready to move past Windows Movie Maker, this is your next and perhaps final step. True, it's not Final Cut Pro or Adobe Creative Cloud, nor is it intended to be. But I can't say there's any effect I've wanted that I couldn't eventually figure out how to do in PDR. And remember, editing is an art. Keep individual clips short. Keep it moving. Most of your footage should go on the cutting room floor. Put your transitions, which are mostly simple cuts, in natural places. Tell a story. Regarding documentation, the software is, like all other software these days, lightly documented, even though that still ends up giving you a book-sized printout. And in a nice touch, given that the software is developed and maintained in Taiwan, the documentation is written by a native English speaker. Do I recommend PDR? Yes, absolutely. I'll warn you that you need to be patient, do lots of experimentation, and grow into the editor. If you're at the level where Windows Movie Maker is your cup of tea, then stay there. But when you want to venture beyond, PDR is the best and perhaps final next step. There are several levels of PDR-15. Note the words used to describe the levels. Ultra is the beginner level. Ultimate gives you more. Ultimate Suite is even more. But for only a little more money, you can get the Director's Suite, which has everything. The Director's Suite gives you PDR plus access to all those special effects from New Blue, ProDad, and Titler Pro. CyberLink also includes their PhotoDirector program, which is for manipulating still images. Note that the only way you can actually get PDR is via the CyberLink website. Please note that this is a ginormous download. They're pretty good about notifying you in the event of patches and have a very helpful page in their support section. You look at the particular product you have, then can find the latest patches and updates. Note that they maintain this for several versions back. There is also a downloadable user's guide that is worth downloading, printing, and binding for ready reference. Note that CyberLink offers two purchase models. The first is the traditional. You buy it, you own it, you use it for as long as you want. You have access to updates for that version. The other method is a subscription. As long as you keep up your subscription, they will keep you updated with the latest. However, when the subscription ends, that's it. You no longer have access to the software. So, there you have it. I give CyberLink PowerDirector 2 thumbs up. I have over 330 videos on YouTube, and except for the very early ones, they were all edited in CyberLink PowerDirector. Go enjoy!